confusions concerning tithing. There are different confusions people have about tithing. For instance, confusion number one is types of tithe. There is this confusion people have about types. They don't know that there are three types of tithe: the regular tithe, the national tithe, and the social tithe. So in the course of reading Bible, people now mix them up. And they discover that in national tithe, which is like national thanksgiving, gathering together, that's when you drink, that's when you use the tithe to buy things and then eat together. But in social tithing, that is the one you give by the side of your gate for the passerby, for the stranger, for the widow. That's not the national tithe, the general tithe, the one you gather together. It's not the one you give to widows, but everybody eats together. And then the one you give by the side of your house is for the widows. You don't eat out of it. You get the tithe. You don't eat out of it. You don't use it for any reason. You only put it there for those people that the tithe is meant for. Like hamper, when they pass by, they pick it. They pick what they want. They pick the whole of it. Then they see this other one that is regular tithe that is given directly to the priest. Okay, so but this is mixed up. So that's confusion number one. What is the tithe? What tithe are you dealing with here? Is it social tithe? Is it which is communal tithe? Is it national tithe? Which is one you do, the one you do yearly, once in a year? The social tithe is due once in every 3 years. National tithe is once in a year. The regular tithe is as often as you have increase. So which tithe are you dealing with? So we must clarify that. The next one is, to whom should we give tithe? Tithe should be paid to who? Some people say you can give your tithe to widow. Some people you can give to orphan. You can give somebody that is stranded, wants to pay house rent, or you can, if you have the tithe, you can share among pastors. So the question is, to who should you give your tithe? Tithe, if it is tithe that is meant for the priest, it should be given to the priest from whom you get spiritual benefit. It should be given to the priest from whom you get spiritual benefit. The tithe that is social tithe, which is done every 3 years of your increase, you look at your tithe and pay, is given to the poor in your community. Poor that you know about. You can set up a foundation for the poor. You can build a school and keep on financing the school from the tithe. Take for instance, we have done the collective understanding about tithing, social tithing. We could have had maybe a fund that we can draw from for welfare packages for the poor, for the people in IDP camps, for orphans that are in need of school fees and many things. We could have built maybe like a social guest house for strangers, people that are coming in, they don't have money to pay for any place, they can stay there. If you have been able to harness our tithing concept properly, we could have done this social tithing, and then it would have led to some, we could have built a school that is free for the orphans, free like some people do free schools. Like in Nigeria, there's a man, Rogers, the corrector, that does school for the poor. The qualification for entering the school is you must be poor, you must be an orphan, you must be a child that has nobody to care for you. That's the qualification. If you have done communal or social tithing, you could have done something like that. Okay, so to whom do you give tithe? It depends on the kind of tithe. If it's communal tithe, give it to the poor, give it to the orphans, give it to the widow, give it to the stranger. If it's national tithe, it's get together, everybody shares out of it. If it is tied to the priest, you must give to the priest that from whom you draw spiritual benefit. All right. The next one is, how do I calculate my tithe? Take for instance, not everybody is a salaried person. Everybody doesn't get money at the end of the month. You can know this is what I earned. Or some people get it at the end of the month. Should I pay on gross or should I pay on net? Gross means if, for instance, I'm working in a particular ministry or a particular organization, and my salary is 200,000 naira or whatever currency your salary is being paid. Total pay is this, but there's this thing they deduct from my salary, maybe for cooperative, deduct this for or maybe another charge, maybe tax. Tax should be paid net of tax when you've given tax, because tax is mandatory deduction, which is not based on your own making. But any other deduction that is based on your making, maybe you borrow money from cooperative, borrow money from bank, borrow money from anywhere, and they deduct money from source, you don't pay tithe of net. Tithe is paid net of tax. So it's not really gross, as in my salary is 200,000, but they're taking 20% of my salary as tax. I'm not supposed to pay tithe on the tax that have been deducted from me, which I did not earn. But if I've incurred debt by my own making and econ management, and then my salary is now 50,000 at the end of the month, my tithe is not 5,000 out of 50,000. My tithe should be whatever is left out of the tax after I've paid my tax. Okay, so that's how to calculate your tax. Let's take, for instance, you don't earn salary, you're doing business, and you make money on a daily basis. You can't even tell what was the profit per day. Maybe you're selling, buying and selling, and you cannot really know how much is left in your shop. Maybe you don't know how much profit you make per day. You can do the best estimate. Best estimate. Let your conscience guide you in the estimate. So how much do you think this shop was worth at the beginning of the month, at the beginning of the week? How much is it now? You can look at what you bought so far, check how much you put. If you can sit down to calculate how much you put per article, per item you have in your shop, you can tell the profit. When you want to pay the tithe, look at what you have actually earned. Tithe is paid on what you earn, not what you have just made. What have you earned? Take for instance, if you get money from your business, and then you have to pay government officials in order to make that business work. You pay government officials in order to get your business running in the place. It is a requirement to make that business work. You've not earned what you have spent to make the business work. So whatever it has cost you to make the business work is not earning, even if the money came to you. Tithe is paid on earning. So look at it. What of these transactions you've done, what has really come to you as earning? As I said, as a salary person, you paid it on net of tax. So in this case, net of what it has cost you to earn the money, to pay tax on that. So I use your best judgment. If you want to recruit an accountant to help you, or a bookkeeper to help you, or anybody that can do some calculation for you, that is okay. So another one is that if you extracting mineral, okay, mineral from the soil, so how do you pay tax on that? Because some mineral could be liquid, some could be solid, some could be something you have to refine and whatever. So at the end of the day, when you look at what you paid as royalty to government, you deduct the royalty from what you've extracted, what you've collected from the soil, royalty to the government. What is left for you after you've paid all that it has taken for you to earn this money? The net of that is what you pay tax on. Okay? So I hope this clarifies some confusion in other areas. Again, when people want to pay tithe, some people say, should I divide it? For instance, you have maybe your tithe is 200,000. You cannot give to your pastor. If it's a tax to the priest, you cannot give to your pastor. Should I give this tax to different pastors, and then give this one to widow, give this one to... No. If the tax is meant for the priest, it's good to the priest. And it doesn't matter whether the tax is big, the tithe is big or small. Give it to the person that is meant for. Don't begin to manage it. I know that I have worked in an organization that people pay. I have a man that is a billionaire in dollars. And then he lives on 1% of his income. And then he gives 99.9% out. And then when he gives out, he himself considers that as like tithe. But that is not tithe anyway. And that money is too big for his own church because it's in America. So the church is like a family church. The church will not take, because American church is not like some African churches that would take whatever you give, they collect, whether they need it or not. The pastor will not collect such money because they don't have where to apply such funds. You bring $500 million to the church, $200 million to the church, $100 million to the church. The pastor said they don't have need of that kind of money. So he has to share that money to different systems that need money. So in that case, the way they manage the tithe is different. If the tithe is bigger than the priest may say he doesn't need that kind of amount, or the church doesn't need that kind of amount, you look for people that need some help. So you can now decide to, because it's at the discretion of the church and the priest. You can now share the money beyond the church. Otherwise, tithe should be given to whom it is due. Okay? Thank you for listening. If you consider this video useful to you, please subscribe to our channel, YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram. Thank you.